Hello, everyone, and welcome again to our Creativity Offers a New Formula for Life interviews. And this morning, I am really pleased to have with us Nancy Good, a Las Vegas located artist and one of our most fantastic contributors to our experience exhibition, whatever you want to actually call it. So welcome, Nancy. My co-lead, Julie Samuels, is with us this morning as well, and we'll be doing the interview kind of between us. But I think Julie should probably start because you haven't met Nancy as many times as I have.
Hi, Nancy. It's lovely to meet you.
Hi, Julie. Thank you both for having me.
I've read a little bit of your bio. It's very, very fascinating, from acting to your artwork. Please, can you just tell me a little bit about that journey?
Oh, the short version or the long one? I would consider myself a multidisciplinary artist that pulls from life experience, a very diverse life experience, to inform what I create now. Been a full-time musician at times in my life, have been homeless, living in a van as a full-time musician, have grown up in poverty, so I understand a lot of the challenges, have had personal trauma, things that also inform the work that I create. But first and foremost and primarily, it's using art as a language to connect to the greater world in a way that helps all of us understand that we are not alone in our experience. We are connected in so many unique ways, maybe not all at the same time experiencing the same thing, but over the course of a lifetime, we will face, love, happiness, joy, but we'll also face tragedy, hunger, want, fear. And so if I am able to use artwork to do that, that's my primary mission.
Wow. But also in your work, there's just beauty as well, and that kind of comfort. You see it when you look at it.
And that's very intentional. My work is multi-layered, very, very layered, primarily because I recognize that as a species, as a human being, I have a multi-layered experience. Not only physically do I have many layers in my body, biologically, the layers I can't see unless I'm cutting myself open, which I don't intend on doing in this lifetime. But that life experience is multi-layered. The piece behind me actually is about time and memory and the layering of it, with not only my own memories over time and how they change and weave in and out of each other, but also how my memories will meet and weave into another person's memories of very similar experiences. And I think that's important, to have an awareness of the layers of life.
I guess that's what makes those interesting conversations that allow other people to kind of join on that journey with you. So your pieces that you have produced for the project are absolutely beautiful. It's that connection with kind of the real and the AI. Could you tell us a bit more about that? Because I thought that was really, really fascinating, a really interesting way to explore creativity.
Thank you. So I have long had a practice that I just call A to D, so analog to digital, where I would take an image of one of my analog paintings, the hand brushed paintings or the hand, drawn paintings or drawings, and would then transform them digitally into 3D landscapes, or sometimes just 3D animated landscapes. And when this project started coming up and AI became more prevalent, in public news and clickbait articles, and fear-based postulating by, everybody's, we're going to all lose our jobs, and artists are, going to be out of work, all these different things. I chose to tackle a different relationship with AI. We've been using AI for eons. I mean, for decades, actually, Photoshop, different sort of softwares have built into them some sort of artificial mechanism to fix an image, fix a photo. And of course, with social media filters, people aren't really understanding that, that is AI. That's something that is taking, a reality and transforming it into something else automatically. That's not us doing it. So rather than being fearful about my role as an artist being superseded by AI, I very intentionally chose relationship and collaboration in a way that combines both my analog existence with an AI output, but bringing it then back to an analog hand of the artist art, creation. So the short description of what I've done is taking my physical being, so a photograph of me, my analog being, inputting it into an AI, software, platform, telling that AI to weight my image the highest of anything that it will, pull from. Then my written prompts as to, cyber shaman, crone, oracle, robotic, alien, futuristic, whatever, that gets weighted second. And then the images that started to come out, I could choose from, and then also tweak and modify based on, things that I wanted to, really bring out in the resulting collaboration. So once I had a selection of, I've got more than 5 images, but I chose the 5 that I really resonated with, and then printed those out, transferred images, hand sketched, or hand transferred to linoleum sheets, and then hand cut the linoleum sheets to create plates for printing. The next step of that was I didn't want to just use regular paper. I wanted to also use handmade paper. I don't have the space or the resources to do the handmade paper here, so I found a source where I could buy, in bulk, 50 handmade sheets of paper, and then created monoprints on those handmade papers. A lot of experimentation about what I wanted to do, and decided on the backgrounds that worked for me, the gradients that worked for me, and then printed, hand pulled prints from the linoleum sheets. Once those were dry, which usually with the inks that I use takes 3 or 4 or 5 days sometimes, then I go in and hand embellish. So there's a lot of hand steps, analog steps after that little brief digital moment, because AI works really fast. It's like a blip in time.
Yeah.
For collaboration and creativity, but it's the hand embellishments and the handwork and the cutting afterwards that took days and days and days and weeks and weeks and weeks of work to create the body of work that is now with you for this project.
So again, it's all about the layers, isn't it? The story is there within the layers, and that's where the beautiful narratives start to kind of feed. But when I look at those images, I could see like kind of historical, like the Nubian princess, and there was all these other kinds of beautiful kind of images that I saw. The Egyptians, the Incas. It was like the story of the world, and our existence kind of came together in those images.
Exactly, and back to uniting us all as one, because I look at my DNA studies and reports, and I have a very, not unusual for the rest of the world, but for me, it's like, oh yeah, I've got, ties to North Africa. I've got ties to Vikings. I've got ties to, South America. I've got ties to, things that it's like, where did that come from over time? And it's fascinating to me that we, as a contemporary culture, focus so much on division and very, very individual identity, which, you know, I mean, that's part of who we are as a species. Again, our egos, our personalities, that we want to feel special. But I would much rather feel connected and part of the whole, while also creating works that are recognizably mine. You know, so there's always this dichotomy of, you know, I want to be the individual artist, but I still want my work to connect to the greater whole.
Because I think when you look at it, everybody could see something of themselves in it, that kind of, oh, yeah. And that's what I think was really beautiful. But, you know, you made it initially start with about you, but that connection with somebody else to look and say, you know what, I can see my heritage in there, which I thought was wonderful. I was like,
Exactly.
oh, I can see, and that was, and I think that's a real connection that makes with people, which I think is wonderful.
Yeah, and that's a tricky path to walk as well, because I don't want to appropriate somebody else's heritage, but I want to honor, even if I've just got, you know, one drop of that heritage or one, you know, % or whatever it is. I want to always honor the connections that we have culturally, you know, biologically, historically, in ways that will bring maybe a starting point for dialogue even.
I think, yeah, it's those conversations and the layering, which is what I think is where those interesting conversations will definitely start.
And I like that way that promotes connection, not difference. And that's something that I think from my experience of your work is something that allows you to look differently at something. And I haven't always got close enough to see some of those threads that appear to be actually throughout everything that you've done, and just gently and gradually changing. I'm interested in when you said, you know, AI did it really quickly. How did that feel in terms of your creative experience? What was your reaction when that came out?
Actually, no reaction, because I've worked with AI so much over the years that, you know, I know it's fast. I'm relying on it being fast. I'm relying on it being something where it's like, okay, well, I didn't like that, so change a prompt or do something else, change, you know, whatever style, whether, you know, and then be able to immediately have a result. And so I was expecting it to be fast. I was wanting it to be fast, knowing that the analog side of things, the hand of the artist side of things, is the slow part. And I love it. I love that that's the slow part. I don't ever want to rush through creativity, much like I don't want to rush through life, or I don't want to rush through relationship. I don't want to rush through conversation. I mean, I love interviews where, you know, conversation happens and even new paths happen because we're having a conversation.
Something happened to me and I became a doer, not a have done too. And I've seen you as that doer since I met you. And you gave me my first opportunity to exhibit in Las Vegas. And you put a tremendous amount of effort into giving exposure to other artists, designers, thinkers, and you've done that through your core contemporary gallery. What drives you to do that instead of, say, perhaps, you know, just working alone? Because the way you give is just phenomenal.
Oh, well, thank you. It's partly, it's a life philosophy. I know, you know that when I post something, I always on Instagram or social media, hashtag it takes a village. You know, I didn't get here as an artist by myself. I didn't get anywhere in my various careers through life by myself. And that recognition of community is something that really compelled me to create the Core Contemporary. We have very few curated exhibition spaces in Las Vegas. I know that as an exhibiting artist, that there are very few places for me to show my work. This is one of the rare exhibitions, solo exhibitions that I have in the gallery right now, only because calendar programming opened up and people kept asking me, when are you going to show this in Vegas? When are you going to show, including you?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, well, yeah, it's my gallery. But I really veer far away from it being the Nancy Good gallery. And so I am always excited about what artists are doing in the community. And I really made the, conscious, some might say narrow choice to only feature Las Vegas artists, but it was kind of my way of waving the banner of, we have really great artists in Las Vegas. We have world-class artists in Las Vegas. And why is the rest of the world not seeing that? Why are even our local community members not seeing that? Or businesses, hospitality not seeing that? Art collectors here not seeing that? And so it's just been, I want to say a passion project, but it's far more than that. It's a mission of advocacy, of lifting others up. It's just in my DNA.
And we're very grateful for that as well. I know
I need to move to Vegas.
you do, actually.
Please.
Oh, it's where it's happening. It just, everything that I hear and I see in the artist's work, I also feel really, really inspired. It feels like a very, very welcoming community.
I think it is. Yeah,
it is, and it's dynamic. And I talk about this frequently when people ask me, in comparisons to LA or Chicago or New York or San Francisco or London or things like that. It's like, yes, there will be artists that are following trends that they see elsewhere, but primarily artists are blazing their own paths here, without influence of what's, trending at the moment, what's hip at the moment, what's hot, what's being hyped. Artists are very authentic here. I'm just overjoyed and mind blown frequently by some, an artist that comes in and that I'm meeting for the first time, and I'm seeing their work and going, like Sapira, when she first moved to Las Vegas, I gave her first solo show here in Las Vegas. And, that work is so exquisitely beautiful, poignant, evocative. And I had never seen anything quite like it before, and was like, okay, well, the rest of the city needs to see this. And she's gone on to do fantastic things here and beyond. So there's always the excitement that I have as a consumer of sorts of other artists' work, and being very excited about, what's happening and very excited about the progress that they're making. I've got to have artists in residence that help artist development, do mentorship here, but also plant seeds for collaboration with other artists. It's like anytime there's somebody in the gallery, I'm making sure they're meeting each other. It's like, check out their art. You might like something about them, and you might find that your visual languages are different enough, but also complementary enough that you can create a whole new form of artwork together. And I love having, that opportunity.
Yeah, that's absolutely wonderful. Well, Vegas is very lucky to have you. And I'm very pleased that our paths crossed, and that we had a chance to do some work together, but equally now to try and expose some of the Las Vegas artists to some of the lovely people in London who'll be seeing the work. But we've also introduced 3 virtual reality galleries that has allowed us to expand what we could otherwise display, because there are high value spots in Vegas, in London, in Los Angeles that artists just do not get the chance to be in. So part of the sort of idea that we've had is to grab one of those spots and then open up a portal to people from around the world. So we've got a contributor from Africa, South America, all over
Philippines.
Yeah, how do you see the future of galleries and space and getting artists into those kind of interesting or totally different spots as well?
Well, I love that, we have virtual reality galleries to explore now. I mean, even during pandemic, so much of what was happening was virtual. And I think galleries, museums, other really creative spaces started to be more aware of the tools that were available to expand their reach to a greater audience. I'm will always still be an in-person, old school, analog girl, but I also do a lot of things digitally as well, and appreciate that the viability and the importance of virtual spaces are incredibly high and important for the I guess expanding the reach. Of course, that's one big one, but also informing the world about what is available as art, what is viable as art. I've got an artist in residence here right now, Damien Blaze, who is combining art and science and technology in really unique ways that I'm very excited to see what the final outcome is. And that is something that is meant to be seen in person once he completes it, but it's also something that I can foresee being incorporated into a virtual space because I know his brain. But there's also the challenge of once you have a virtual gallery, it's like websites when they first came out, years ago. How did you get people to that address? Like how do you get people to your home? Well, you have to have an address, but people have to know about it, but also want to visit your home. And so the challenge of these virtual spaces is there's more and more and more and more. And how do you rise above the very crowded platform of experiences?
And I hope, because I'm with you on the IRL in real life,
Yeah, same.
there is no other way for me than I have to see your work up close. I have to get one of the torches that you've got and see the whole other ultraviolet layers in it,
right?
The different textures of the shine of the wording that's in it. So
and how the light interacts, and how does it feel to touch? I mean, people freak out when I said you can actually touch the work, and they're like, what? Okay, because it's we have multiple senses. Why are we only using visual?
And I think if you can combine real life with something that's visible and seeable that gives you that access to something virtual, I think that's the future. I don't see a future in any single channel at all.
Right.
And I think that's where the strength I'm hoping of what we're trying to achieve in London is.
Right.
In that, and you're one of the only 10 artists who actually have physical, beautiful work physically in that space. And then we have another 16 artists, contributors, thinkers, who are represented on the website in virtual reality. But we're exposing every single one of those people to that event and gallery space, but just not everyone gets to have a real piece. But I think there's something in that multi-layered approach that we hope can bring that light to all 26 contributors.
And I love that you use the word light, because my work is always tied to looking at something in a new light, because my belief that even as I'm sitting here in this interview and I'm meeting Julie, having more in-depth conversation with Julie, I still have only this little tiny slice of experience with Julie, and I look to seeing Julie in a new light further down the road. and it's the invitation that we all have when we're challenged by something, or confused by something, or angry about something, to shift our perspective and look at it in a new light, that maybe we're not seeing the whole story. Because I have to be honest and transparent about myself. I don't even know the whole story about myself. There's oftentimes I have to look at myself in a new light, a critical light sometimes, that says, ooh, well, I don't want to keep doing that, or I like that about me, but I can do better. And it's not something that I'm, worried about. It's like, it excites me to know more about the world around me, know more about the people that I care about. But that also entails looking at them in a new light, looking at them from a new perspective. And so that happens physically with my art. You have to look at it in a new light, in a new perspective, to see the hidden elements.
Yeah, and I've seen how the gallery changes when you've blacked it out, and we have to use a different door to come in, because the lack of light is what shines light in different ways, and then full exposure.
Right.
So I
guess those are the features that, when we think about future kind of virtual galleries, those are the things that you want to kind of work in. Those are kind of how can you experience something that's tactile in the real world and bring it into the virtual. These are the things that I'm hoping myself and Zoe will start to explore.
Yeah.
On the 2nd of November. We'll get the first over. The 2nd of November.
Let's finish this first, Julie.
The 2nd of November. But obviously, these are the kind of things, Nancy, it'd be great to kind of talk to you about. And the artists that you mentioned, how you kind of move, and how you kind of, all those kind of tactile experiences, kind of sound, and even temperature. How do we allow people to experience that via the screen?
Yeah, and because art is not created in a vacuum, art is created with, changing weather, changing emotional states, sound, interactions with people who may come into the studio, whatever it is, it's multi-sensory experience just to create the art. So why should it not be multi-sensory to experience the art that's created?
Exactly. That's the challenge. So brilliant challenge, though.
We'll take it.
I take it.
Yeah. Me too.
Well, and even my choice in the size of painting. So the canvas behind me, that's 10 foot by 5 foot. So 120 inches by 60 inches. It's a massive piece. So when you are standing in front of it, you have it filling your peripheral vision as well, depending on how far and close you are. And yes, in virtual spaces, we can create a similar experience. But can we create it in a way that reveals the hidden elements as we're moving across that landscape?
Indeed, the challenge has been laid in front of us, but I know I think we think that way anyway. Everything is something to try and build on, and I think that's a wonderful approach. I don't know if it's a trait of somebody who chooses words or pictures over words, or expression over another form. I'm not sure if that's a trait of someone who uses creativity as one of the main, I'm not going to say weapon, tool of choice. But Nancy, thank you so much. That was extremely interesting to get to know more about you and your work. We'd like to say thank you as well for taking part in the project. And we look forward to seeing the response to both your real and virtual work when the exhibition opens in November. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
Nancy.
You have my gratitude as well, just for giving me another way to grow as an artist.
Thank you.
Our pleasure.